Hello everybody, it's Pamela again for Stories Come Alive, and we're reading, this is the 6th week. I've skipped a few weeks for travel schedules, but today it's the D. Gary Young book. The next chapters we're reading is The Move to Utah. So here we go. In November of 1993, Gary moved his company, Young Living Essential Oils, to Riverton, Utah, into an 8,000 square foot building. Gary built his lab and production room, offices, shipping, and customer service. It was a very tiny beginning with not a lot of promise from the onset, but there was great enthusiasm and determination. And so Young Living began to grow and was incorporated in 1994. Naturally, Gary began to look for another farm, and in 1995 he bought 160 acres in Mona, Utah, where he built greenhouses and planted crops. This is our big farm of today. Uncle Jack, a retired carpenter, lived in Idaho. He eagerly came to Utah to help Gary build the greenhouses when Gary called for his help. So here are the pictures of the first office, Gary's lab, and then here are some more. Of the 8,000 square foot, only about 5,000 were usable. The building has been used as a mechanic and paint shop, movie house, church, and some unidentified businesses. The building was leased from a walk-through in the dark, and when the electricity was turned on the next morning, it was a shock to see the mess but that's what it was, and so the work began. Mary in her first executive responsibility. Yes, Mary Young, hard at work. So we're going to do a lot of pictures today, so you won't see my face much, but hopefully you can hear my voice. Give me a thumbs up if you hear me well and all is good. And let me see, tell me who's on. If you're on listening, do a comment so I know who's here. Thank you. So here we go. Wait a minute, let me see. I have a new setup in my office. So here are the pictures. Gary did the construction, texturing, and mixing of the oil blends of abundance and purification into the paint, while Mary and her mother, LaRue, did the cleaning and organizing. So did you hear that? So purification is one of our signature blends, and they just put limits on it because it's so popular in our company. But here's a big bottle of purification. Hey, Stacy. Nice, thank you. Purification you can put in your paint before you paint, like drops in. I've done gallons, those big gallons where I've put a whole bottle in, and you will not smell the paint fumes. It neutralizes the smell. So two of the earliest blends, as Gary mentioned in his book, are purification and abundance. Yeah, awesome. You know what? I need a little, I've been talking a lot this morning. I'm going to have a little bit of Zing from Young Living. Zing is 20% off, or sorry, 15% off today for Cyber Monday. So Cyber Monday 2017 if you're watching this video later. So here goes more pictures and reading. The first day of business, the orders totaled about $950, but the orders kept coming, and by the end of the first month, the volume had increased to $1,800 a day, but that wasn't enough to pay the bills. So one night after the office was closed, the oil blend of abundance was sprinkled throughout the office and over the keyboards. To everyone's amazement, the next morning the phone seemed to be ringing off the hook. The excitement mounted, and the future looked a little brighter. Do you need abundance in your life? Try a little abundance oil. So how would we do that? I really, really, really love to diffuse abundance. I like to have it on my desk. I have this little pottery piece made by my friend Melissa Volante of aromacharms.com. She also makes this that goes on the top of the oil bottle, like kind of as a little cap, and it just diffuses it into the air for me. Or you can put on one of your diffusers. I've got my diffusers boxed up in here. Someone had to borrow my favorite diffuser. Yeah, I haven't gotten that back yet. I need my Desert Mist diffuser back. So I had to give it to borrow to someone, so it's not in my office today. But you could sprinkle this on your dollar bills. I actually always keep a $1 million bill on my desk. And I haven't loaded the $1 million bill in a while, so I'm going to put some abundance oil on my $1 million bill. Woohoo! I'm going to like let it run all over. So there's my $1 million bill with abundance on it. Ha! So I hope you find your abundance as well. So let's look at this bottom picture here. There we go. It's a big, long, one big picture. This is all there was. There were no big racks, warehouses, or cold storage. So check it out. Look at the rainbow of oils. Awesome. Up here, Aline came in August of 1994 and took charge of the office and interviewed and hired new employees. Aline is still around. It's Mary's sister, and she edited this book. Aline and Mary put the first product catalog together and started looking at creating new literature. I love that it's so family oriented and everybody helps out and pitches in. I love that part of our company. We're big but small. A new sophisticated bottling machine improved production immensely, and the overhead bags with packing peanuts really helped get orders out the door faster. A small UPS truck stopped once a day to pick up between 30 and 40 orders. I wonder how many orders are going through the warehouse today with Cyber Monday. Big changes, big growth. Within a year's time, Riverton had become too small, and Gary began looking for a new home. Real estate in Salt Lake City was much too expensive, so the old Payson Elementary School became the next headquarters. It was 45 minutes drive south and seemed like a long way, but it was closer to the farm and was a lot bigger than 40,000 square feet. Although probably only 30,000 feet were usable. So everything was packed up in the spring of 1995, and this little growing business moved to new Payson headquarters. There it is. The building is old and would have been torn down if Gary had not bought it. The wiring of the telephones and computers had to run on the outside of the walls because the concrete walls were just too thick. Many windows were broken and a new roof had to be put on because there were so many leaks. The old kitchen became the lab, and in the first week, a main water line broke, costing $10,000 in repairs, which was just astronomical at the time. The cafeteria was retrofitted for production, and the gym became the shipping department. A loading dock had to be built for the UPS trucks. So this is Grassroots Company. Grassroots, starting from fresh. I love that everything's documented. I love that we can see it. So here comes Rex at the First Labs. Rex was excited about new blending equipment that came, and the walk-in cooler was perfect for the oils. LaRue loved the new lab with all the stainless steel. LaRue is Mary Young's mom, so it's all in the family here. An automated bottling machine arrived from Germany, which dramatically improved production, and one UPS truck was stationed all the time at the dock for loading orders. Order entry was growing, the business was flourishing, and the demand for more oils was increasing. Order entry customer service took over the library, and air conditioners were installed in the break room for computers and equipment in IT. Long. Okay, so in 1995, Gary purchased 160 acres in Mona and started preparing the land. Uncle Jack came to help build the greenhouses. The farm in the Utah farm and distillery. Lavender, clary sage, thyme, melissa, and many other plants were first grown in the small St. Mary's greenhouses, from where the first lavender starts were tucked to Mona. When the greenhouses were built in Mona in the spring of 1995, they produced thousands of starts that were not only planted in Utah, but were also trucked to St. Mary's for the expansion. In 1999, over 3 million lavender starts were grown in Utah greenhouses and then transplanted to the fields. New starts were transplanted in 1996. As more land became ready for planting, more greenhouses were built. The seeds propagated very well, and wheel lines and pipes were bought at auctions and private sales and trucked to the farm so that Gary would begin the irrigation system. Oh, such a deal. So this next part, Gary leased a 1,600-acre farm close to the first farm, which was much more demanding, with more than 800 acres alone of undisturbed sagebrush. The Black Angus cattle farm had been in the owner's family for years and had been just that, a cattle farm. No chemicals had ever been put on the ground, so Gary was excited about the new organic farm. Now, we do not pay to get our oils labeled organic, and that's because we're a global company, and it's just so expensive to label each individual oil as organic in every single one of our markets. We reside on the trust that we've never had chemicals on our farms and never will. No chemicals ever there. The manure was 4 to 5 feet deep in the pens, so Gary bought the first piece of new farm equipment, a manure spreader, and begun to spread the manure and prepare the land. The ground had to be tilled, seeded, and irrigated. He first planted lavender, clary sage, and peppermint, and they all did very well. Gary fabricated a new planting machine 3 times the size of the first one in St. Mary's. He designed and built a new harvesting machine and several other pieces of equipment to make the harvest more efficient. Gary and Mary went to many farm auctions and private sales where they found tractors, cultivating equipment, trailers, and all kinds of farm equipment. Gary bought his first semi-truck for $3,500, which was used for many years on the farm. So this is like tons of pictures going on here. Gary designed and fabricated a 6-row planter that was critical for being able to get all the plants into the ground, and when they were ready, to prevent them from becoming root bound from overgrowth in the greenhouse farm cups. The planter worked very well, and hundreds of thousands of new starts went into the ground. Look at it all. Gary hauled the starts with the semi-truck from St. Mary's greenhouse to Mona until the Mona greenhouses produced thousands of starts that were trucked to St. Mary's to meet the expansion there. Gary and Mary went to many farm auctions. We read that already. So there's the picture on that, the farm auctions. Awesome. So when you go here and you look at this, the first automated air seeder for the farm put millions of seeds into small cups for germination in the greenhouses. The farm had numerous springs that supplied the farm with water. Oh, awesome. Over 8 miles of underground pipe were laid for the irrigation in 1996. It just amazes me that he knows how to do all parts of this. Like all parts of it. He just knows. So, there's a little glare. Convention in 1995 was a big disappointment for Gary because he had only one cooker to show everyone, but it was obvious that big plans were in the making. The straws lifted from the cooker with more plant material waiting to be distilled. The distillery began to grow when the first cooker and boiler were installed for the first distillation in 1996. Sorry, people are texting me. In 1996. Yes. Steam cleaning the first cooker in 1996. That's what all that steam is. So Gary built a small 4,500 liter extraction chamber to distill the first harvest. In 1997, he added large chamber of 6,500 liters, and every year continued to build more chambers to meet the needs of its expanding crops. The last two 12,000 liter chambers were built in 1999, totaling 12 extraction chambers in which 10 to 15 crops have been distilled over the years, depending on the wild crafting and what was planting. Spearmint, German chamomile, hyssop, goldenrod, and thyme were subsequently planted. Each year, different crops are planted and others are taken out, depending on how well they grow and produce oil. Thousands of acres of juniper trees grow in abundance on the neighboring foothills and have been wildcrafted, producing a lot of oil since 1999. Gary continued to develop both farms to be commuted back and forth between St. Mary's and Mona, but when this third farm was finally produced in 1997, the second in Utah. The farming of aromatic crops took on a new dimension. More acreage to prepare, more seedlings to plant, more equipment to buy, more inventions and fabrications, more extraction chambers, more employees, just more of everything. One summer evening, while standing on the porch of the old farmhouse that was being renovated at the visitor center, Gary looked out over hundreds of acres yet to be cultivated, and with that visionary look in his eye, said to Mary, "One day this farm will be a worldwide destination for people all over the world, welcoming thousands of visitors wanting to learn about essential oils and the amazing young living seed to seal story." That's come true. Wow, talk about putting your dream out there. Bam. It was a huge undertaking and money wasn't readily available, but Gary knew it was all possible and went forward with that knowing for what the future would bring. You know, some people think of Gary as a renegade. Some people think of him as an overspender. He spends so much money, he does this, he does that. He's a visionary that knows how to change the world. And it takes money to do that. It absolutely does. Peppermint waiting to be distilled in 1997. Look at all of the cookers now, right? Hold on, let me change. Did I show all that? Yeah, I did. Okay, let me see. Look at this farm picture, it's beautiful. The chickens, pigs, and mice that lived in the old farmhouse had to be relocated so renovation could take place for the beautiful visitor center that immersed and now welcomes thousands of people every year. That is the still standing, the visitor center at the Mona, Utah farm is absolutely beautiful. Solar powered pivots were built in the Mona fabrication shop, saving thousands of dollars of electricity. And here's the building, the mechanical office, the office mechanic shop. The demand for oil required expansion everywhere, and the farm became a very busy place. A new gigantic 800 HP boiler was installed, and the old 600 HP boiler became the backup. Tons to do, constant. Gary continued to experiment with distillation process and to modify his equipment. He even climbed into one of the extraction chambers with a flashlight and had them turn the steam on. I've heard this story firsthand. Turn the steam on so that he could see how it moved against the dome lid of the distiller. He got the information he wanted, but needless to say, he didn't stay long in the chamber. Be really hot, hot, hot. I know Mary tells that story and says, "Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it." From what he saw, he immediately designed a new lid and again climbed back inside the cooker to see how it worked, but this time he poured water over his head to reduce the chance of burns. Smart. As he watched what happened with the steam, he was able to modify the lid for even better oil recovery. The GC analysis showed that nearly 15% more of the finer molecules were now being recovered than were being lost with the old design. It's all about discovery, so you do what you have to do to get the information you want, Gary Young said. I'm going to say that again. It's all about discovery, so you do what you have to do to get the information you want, Gary Young said, laughing. So, more pictures. There is Dr. Casabianca came to see the new distillery and was impressed with the oil quality. One of the 12 greenhouses, one of the 12 greenhouses where at one time over 3 million starts were propagated that supplied both the Mona and the St. Mary's farms. The second imported lavender, I'm trying to get the glare, harvester was France, worked better, but it was still too low if the plants had to be forked or dumped into the trailer. And then down here. The third harvester imported the following year was more efficient. However, the plants were so big and bushy that the motor on the conveyor wasn't strong enough to carry them all the way to the top, so the men had to be there constantly to keep them moving. Eldon always flew up from Texas to help, and he and Gary would take turns on the harvester. Eldon was Gary's best friend that did a ton of the farming with Gary. You know, it's nice to have those special people that are in your life that will always be there for you, and Eldon was that for Gary, 100%. Uh-oh, getting low battery. Here we go. The lavender is magnificent, and when in bloom can be smelled miles away the surrounding area. Again, I want to mention in this video also, notice the different colors of purple. It's not just one big, vast, beautiful lavender color. It's variegated, and this is Lavandula angustifolia. That is a big, what do I want to say? That tells you that it's Lavandula angustifolia. It's descriptive, that it's variegated. And notice it's small, bushy, not long spikes. Long spikes are more of a hybrid and can be lavandin or another type. I was just, I was given at a yoga journal conference, I was given by one of the vendors their spike lavender, and I never opened it, and I opened it last night and said, George, smell the difference. And it's interesting that it was called spike lavender, which means it's not Lavandula angustifolia. It's a hybrid of that, and it smelled very much like lavandin. It did not smell like our Lavandula angustifolia or our lavender in Young Living at all. So know, my friends, that when you go to stores, you want, if you are looking at what lavender does, you want Lavandula angustifolia. Okay? Know the difference. So here's a couple more pictures. We'll see how long my phone lasts. Here we go. Gary redesigned the French harvester and built a better one in the fabrication shop in Mona. And then here's this. Peppermint is ready to be distilled. So that's what it looks like before it goes into the cooker. Okay. Picture time. Mary loved operating the swather. Stuck again. At least the aroma of the spearmint was refreshing. Gary designed another conveyor system for harvesting peppermint and spearmint. The first crop of clary sage was magnificent and produced beautiful oil in 1997. It is beautiful. I've been in those fields in Mona, and I've been in those fields in our clary sage fields in France. They're absolutely gorgeous. Lush peppermint, August 1999. Look at that farm. Just makes me want to go stand in the fields. Oh, shall we start? Hello again. Sorry, I got a phone call. Thanks for joining me today for Stories Come Alive with the world leader, Young Living Essential Oils, and the story of D. Gary Young. How this is a family-run business that, wow, has grown leaps and bounds with the love of Gary, a farmer, the love of Mary, a businesswoman, that came together and made this magnificent business and family called Young Living. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next Monday. Thanks, Tammy, for joining. Hey, Linda. I love Storytime too. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Stacy. Have a great day, you guys. Oh, hey, Michelle. Bye. I didn't see your name yet. Oh, hey, Linda. In Loving Storytime. Yay. Awesome. Bye, you guys. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. I'll talk to you tonight on our call. Ciao.